Hello.
Hello everyone. So I'm Devanshu. Let's wait for everyone to join. So we are waiting for 2 minutes. Like, welcome, sir. How are you? Okay, guys. So we are starting the session. A very warm welcome to you all. I am Devanshu Saxena, and I will be hosting today's session presented by AdWeb Community. We are eager to introduce none other than Mr. Shantanu Vishwavanda, a blockchain enthusiast who has countless laurels under his belt as a distinguished speaker for today's session on roadmap to blockchain development. Mr. Shantanu's passion for technology and learning new stuff has allowed him to back various offers in different companies and even led to starting his own company. To further add to his flourishing galore of coding excellence, he had previously interned at Amzello as backend engineer and is currently serving as DevRel at Covalent. To top it all off, he has also trained and coached more than 5,000 developers and has been actively contributing to Ethereum Foundation. We are honored to have him grace this session with his presence. We thank you, Shantanu sir, for joining us today. Sir, the stage is all yours now.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much, Devanshu. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Um, First of all, thank you so much to each and every one of you for joining in today. I'm pretty excited to take the session today, and thank you so much. I hope that you'll enjoy the session. And in between, if you have any questions, feel free to ping me. Feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, awesome. So just a quick question, so feel free to use the chat box to answer the questions, if you're fine. So quick question: how many of you are interested in blockchain, or at least started a career, or maybe want to get into it? Feel free to use the chat box, guys. Okay, perfect, awesome. Okay. So, in this entire 45 minutes to 50 minutes of session, I won't take much of your time today, but I'll make sure that you're motivated enough to start your career in the Web3 space. Why Web3? And how do you start? How do you get a job? And what are the things that you need to cover to become a Web3 dev or a blockchain dev? So, we'll be talking about all these things today. And it will be pretty diverse session. So, feel free if you feel that this is confusing or if not getting specific thing, I'll be happy to help you out. Cool. So starting with these are the things that we'll be covering today. Primarily, one is the Web3 stack. What is Web3 about? Second, Web3, Web2 versus Web3. What is it? What is the difference between these two different technological evolutions? Then we'll be talking about pros and cons of a Web3 role, and then we'll be also talking about how do you find opportunity in Web3. How do you get started, right? What are the tips and tricks? What is the roadmap? So we are here for the roadmap, right? So I'll introduce you to the basic roadmap on how it looks like. How do you start? And then I'll also talk about more careers and skill sets in Web3. So it's not just like understanding Solidity or JavaScript. There's more to that, right? So we'll also talk about it. And we also have an exclusive NFT giveaway. So stay tuned till the end of the session to snatch up a free NFT from Covalent. Okay. So let's just have a first overview about what Web3 and blockchain is. So Web3 is a technological evolution, right? So most of you guys might have been, in colleges. You must have graduated from specific colleges. You evolved, right? You started in first year, and you ended up in fourth year, and you graduated. But that's a revolution. It's not just that you started engineering and it finished off in 2 months. That's not how it works, right? It's a process. So in the same process, right? So you need to understand how things work out. Okay. So primarily one thing is the evolution of web, right? So web 1 was more of a read and write technology where you used to read data on the internet. Then came Web 2, which was moreover read write economy or era, wherein companies like Facebook, Instagram, they came into existence. Can you guys imagine a life without Instagram? If you're a student or if you're an influencer, absolutely no. Right? These days we are so much glued to Instagram that we can't even imagine like 5 minutes away from that platform. Right? Even if your friend tags in, or let's say if you have put up a photo, 5 minutes later you just open up an app and just see how many likes did you get. Right? That's how impromptu we got in terms of adapting technology, adapting the Web 2 era, right? But now, with great power comes great responsibility. Similarly, Web 2 had a couple of downfalls, right? One was privacy. A lot of your data was actually being used by these giants to manipulate or maybe to show you the ads that you want to see. So let's say if I'm talking to one of my friend on Instagram about, let's say, a gaming console. So a couple of minutes later, I would get an ad saying, "Hey, this is the one that you wanted to check out, right? Check out PlayStation 5." So that's how targeted ads are happening. So it's not so the privacy is not very concrete in the Web 2 space. But Web 3 is trying to solve that problem by bringing in decentralization. So when I say decentralization, it's like you know no, so it's more of a like a technology where you have read, write, and own, right? You own your own data. So until you approve, nobody can access your data. That's how secure it becomes, right? You're the owner of your own data. So that's blockchain. So and sorry, that's Web 3, and the technology that runs the Web 3 infrastructure or the Web 3 era is called blockchain. So today we'll be talking about careers in blockchain. So I mean, if this would have been like 2 3 hours of session, I would have taken you to building a dApp itself. But I'll just walk you through. So if you look at the image that's on my screen right now, that's the screen that I'm presenting. Four layers, right? Four major layers are there. One is access layer, then is use case, then infrastructure, and then prototype. So when we talk about access layer, right? So these are the ones that are customer facing, the user facing applications, right? So one wallets. I hope most of you guys might have heard about wallets. So when you talk about wallets, there is MetaMask, there is Brave, Rainbow, and tons of them, right? So these companies, they are like the front facing or the gateway to the Web3 applications. So they play an essential role, and that's why they are termed as, access layer. Next comes in is the use case layer. So using the wallet, you access a use case, right? So you cannot really access Decentraland or Axie Infinity, Uniswap, OpenSea, any of those platforms without a wallet. I mean, of course, you can just go and read the data, but you cannot write or cannot transact or do any sort of activities on the platform. So you need a wallet for that. So that's how use case wallets are. It's basically user interface and user experience based, interfaces. Next comes is the infrastructure. So you know the wallets are there, right? Now the use cases are there. They both run synchronously, but they need to be hosted somewhere, or they need to be, some sort of communication, analysis, security, storage, and these sort of things, right? So that's where the infrastructure layer comes in, right? So in the infrastructure side, for security, you have OpenZeppelin. For storage, you have IPFS Filecoin. For analysis, you have Covalent. And Dune Analytics, communication, there are multiple platforms, governance, and so on and so forth. So these are a couple of things that you need to be aware of while you jump into the Web3 space, because these are the categories or the layers that it's divided into. Okay, cool. Next comes is the protocol layer. So this is what powers the blockchain, right? And this is what the blockchain is known for. So the most prominent one, or I say the first blockchain that came into existence was Bitcoin network. And with regards to the Bitcoin network, Ethereum came in, Solana, Cosmos, and so on and so forth, Polygon. So these kind of infrastructures came in, and that's how it works. So when you talk about, okay, sorry. So when you talk about scalings, right? So there are L1 and L2. So what is L1 and what is L2? I'll talk about that. So L1 is the basic or the primary blockchain. L2 is it's also called as it's built on top of L1. So let's say if you have Ethereum and you want to improve some factors of Ethereum, right? So you can easily do that using L2. So all you have to do is build a blockchain on top of Ethereum, and it's called as L2. One of the greatest example is Polygon. So, and bridges. So what are bridges? So bridges are nothing but a connectivity between two different blockchains. So let's say if I want to transact or maybe transfer funds from Ethereum network to Solana, I can easily do that using a bridge. So that's what a bridge is. And this is how the whole ecosystem or the whole era of Web3 blockchain development looks like. Okay, so this is more about DAO. Okay, so let's talk about Web 2 and Web 3. So I'm not differentiating between them. I'm just differentiating in terms of career development. So Web 2, most of the markets are relatively stable. They are like $1 trillion, $1 billion companies. So namingly Microsoft, Google, so these companies, like, they hire in bulk, right? So even TCS. So they are Web 2 companies. So the market is relatively pretty stable. So even if there is a recession, even if even if there is a the market is not very properly working around. So you know that you have a secure job, right? So that's how the Web2 space works. And there are, again, pretty established industries like TCS, Wipro, Google, Microsoft, and so on and so forth. And they have a clear vision, right? So when you're building a product in a Web2 company, you know what you're building. So let's talk about Google in this case. So in Google, uh, you know, Google searches. So they know the next product roadmap on what they want, and because they have forecasted, like, for 10 years, what is the user. They have so much amount of data that they can easily forecast what the user wants in the coming 10 years, and they can easily build on it. And they have a pretty clear vision for like 10 years. So they know that they are existing for the coming 10 years. And if they feel the product is not working, they pivot. They build another product because they know the vision, right? They know the data. They play along with the data. So next is Web3. So Web3 space is pretty volatile, right? So it's so dicey that you've seen cryptocurrencies, right? So there are multiple scam-based cryptocurrencies, but again, there are some really really good projects. So the projects that I've showed you before, in the previous slide, those are some really OG projects. So when I say OG, it's like the great projects that are being built in the space. So the but nevertheless, the market is pretty volatile. Next, it's an emerging industry, right? So the industry has just started. So and there are multiple companies who are still raising funds, still building the product. They're hustling, they're building it. And again, the vision depends on what the community sees or what the founder sees. So yeah, that's the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 from a career perspective. So more on Web3. Let's talk more about Web3. So it's more of a like you going on a hunting, riding on a horse with your laptop. So that's how this industry is. Pretty volatile, pretty adventurous, I would say. It's very adventurous when get on when you hop onto the journey of Web3. It's pretty adventurous and it's pretty exciting. Next, the innovation is at a rapid pace. I've seen companies like building a product in 24 hours, and that's hackathon, right? You guys might have heard about hackathons. So East recently ETH India happened. So I'll share a story from ETH India. So one of uh, one of my friends was building a product at ETH India, and I mean, it's a project. So he was building a project in ETH India for 48 hours. So the day I met him, he was like, and I'm still not sure how to build it. And the day I was leaving back for my place, I met him again, and he was like, "I built the product. I want like $10,000." I was like, "Okay." So he built a product in 48 hours, showed the MVP, and impressed the people and impressed the folks there. So it's pretty intuitive to see how people are trying to change, trying to innovate at a very rapid space. And let's say if I'm demanding a new addition, so there are companies or the engineering teams who are rapidly building. Even at Covalent, we rapidly ship things every week. So that's how things work for us as well. Um, you know, a lot of things here needs to be actually explained because it's new to the folks and the knowledge is pretty limited to the internet. So let's say if there is a new protocol or the new technology that comes into the Web3 space, there's not a concrete document about it. So to learn or to keep yourself top up to what's happening in the industry, I think it's best to keep yourself updated. It's best to keep yourself connected to the community. There are multiple developer communities, or EduHub is one of them. So you can stay connected to the folks. They'll keep you posted on what's happening in the market, and what's the new product coming in. And yeah, the product might not look like a product. So your vision for product comes from what Web2 has shown you, like a full-fledged product that comes into your hand, you experience it, right? But that's not the case with Web3 since it's still under the development phase, right? So most of the products are still naive, they're still being developed. So that's the thing. And again, limited user data because it's the industry has just started, right? And again, it's an anonymous ecosystem. So when we say decentralization, when we say privacy, there is not a lot of data that is being shared, so it becomes a little difficult to get the analytical part, but still some companies are doing it. Pros and cons. Okay, so pros and cons of a Web3 role. So one very good advantage is flexible, right? So it's not like you have to work from 9 to 5. It's up to you if you want to work like 4 hours in the day, 6 hours in the evening, up to you, whatever time you feel like. But yeah, that's the flexibility you get. The another thing that's really good is whatever you start here is the beginning. You don't really get resources available easily, right? So you have to that's a pretty steepy learning curve. You have to learn things from scratch and develop things. Next, you never have a boring day. I've spent around 1 year with Covalent, and promise, I'm saying this publicly. I've never had a boring day. Every day was challenging. Every day something innovative came up to my plate, and it's pretty fun. When you do, and you never have a boring day, right? You don't have to just pull up a Git repo, clone it, change the code, and just push it. It's very exciting. And since this is a new field, right, you're always invested in your company's success. You know what you're doing, you know what your company is envisioned for, you know how your company started from losses to building a profitable company and stuff like that. And of course, there is no barrier to enter, right? The DMs are pretty open for people on the internet. You can DM me, you can talk one-on-one if you want to. You can DM any of the folks on the Web3 space. The devils are pretty friendly here, so you can talk to them. And yeah, the same goes with but again, on the other side, there are some, pros and cons. Every coin has two sides, right? Similarly, there are some cons. So one is there are pretty uncertainties. There might so you might have heard of FTX, right? So FTX scam happened, and it was uncertain, right? Nobody knew it's coming up, and yeah, so there are a lot of fast tracking. So it can be little difficult at the time to with how cope up with the pace or catch up the pace that your company is growing with. And sometimes, yeah, you're on your own to figure things out, since it's pretty new phase, right? So everybody's pretty busy building, so you might not have that hand holding, and so you need to keep up your knowledge, you need to keep up with yourself. Next is Web3 never sleeps. Web3 is so beautiful that it never sleeps. There are everything, any new thing builds up, anything comes up. Yeah, and retail markets can be very noisy, and you know why, right? So Dogecoin or other altcoins that comes into the market, they create a lot of noise. People invest and they lose all the money. So these kind of noisy things do happen. But keeping aside the noise, keeping aside whatever bad thing happened, right? Even scams happen in the Web2 market, but still people invest. Still people keep their heads up, toes down, and they start walking. They start doing the good things, and maybe that's how Web3 space would also come up in the coming near future. Perfect. So before we jump into the real roadmap, I'll help you understand how to find opportunities in Web3 space. One is Twitter. So let me be honest, I got my job through Twitter. So I DM'd my CEO, told him what I do, and we had a couple of rounds of interview, and I was in. And similarly, there are community discords. So join multiple community discords. There are protocol-based discords. I mean, Ethereum has their own Discord channel server, and different protocols, different blockchains have their own protocol. Sorry, Discord channels. Join them, participate, conversate, and see how it goes. Then keep yourself up to date to the emails that comes in your inbox. Sign up for multiple emails. One of the famous one is Linny's newsletter, and there are multiple ones. There is Substack. There is Nadir, uh, who is the devil in the Web3 space. So keep yourself up to date, and you know just watch out for the content online. Next is VC portfolio. Just go to any of the VC portfolios websites. So one of the couple of them like Woodstock, Superscript, and just go to their websites and you can see the career options there itself. And there are websites like Web3.career, and multiple ones, crypto jobs. So there are a couple of multi-explanatory skills apart from the technical skills that you can focus on while getting into this space. One is being adaptable. So when I say being adaptable, it's about uh, changing yourself or adapting yourself as per the situation that comes in. Next is being resourceful. So this space is growing at a pretty rapid space, right? So people are competing with each other. So you have to be a resourceful person. You need to know how to solve a problem and keep yourself up to date to the latest news or latest technology that comes up into the market. A fast learner, uh, and a good communicator. So there might be a chance that if you're a dev, you might have to talk to your customer, you might have to go to an event, talk about your product. So improving or working at least on your communication skills might really be advantageous for you. Next is able to take initiatives. If you feel something is not right or something needs to be fixed, I think if you take your first step, get the ownership and work on it, that's very useful. Next is passionate about communities. If you love communities, if you love talking to people, if you love connecting to people, again the space can be really good for you. How to get started? So DYOR, I mean, do your own research about the company that you want to apply in, create something, build on top of it, or maybe use their product, and then DM the CEO or any other company members. This is the process that I followed, and also multiple people whom I know in the community space have followed this. Some Web3 career and skill sets. So let's talk about the blockchain roadmap now. So the Web3 dev, the creative, you need to be a little creative when you build an application, because again, the space, as I told you, and then learning any of the object-oriented programming, Solidity, JavaScript, Rust, and any of those, and participate in each global hackathons or any other hackathon that comes your way. So this is a detailed roadmap. So I'm putting the screen on for some time. I've prepared a roadmap. I've tried my best to accumulate all the content and the resources in a place. So feel free to scan this code, and you'll get it in your inbox. If not, I'll also share the link on the chat. One sec. Give me a moment. Okay. I think I'm unable to share, but yeah, feel free to scan the QR code. I'm holding the screen for some time. But meanwhile, I hold it. I'll just go through this entire slide once. So, how do you start your journey as a Web3 dev? Step one is understanding the computing and networking. So it's it's basically a little important to understand how computing and the networking side works, because you work with nodes, you work with cloud infrastructure, you work with multiple you know uh, multiple structures on how things work, right? So it's very important to understand how networks work. Next stuff is understanding blockchain itself. So blockchain in itself is a pretty huge topic, right? So it includes a lot of intuitive topics like uh, you know what are um, what are NFTs, what are cryptos. uh, then you also have what are consensus mechanism, then decentralization, mining, and a lot of these interesting topics, right? So it's little important to understand how blockchain works and the other side topics, and just get a glimpses of how crypto works, and getting along with building your own cryptocurrency. How do you build a token? Building tokens on different platforms, different infrastructure. So let's say if you're building a token on Polygon, try also building a token on testnet Ethereum, testnet Arbitrium, Cosmos, Solana, other platforms, right? So try switching multiple platforms and see which one you're comfortable at. Then there are multiple layers of the blockchain. So we spoke about L1 and L2, right? So get your hands dirty on that as well. Uh, See how Ethereum infrastructure is. Go to the Ethereum open source GitHub code, have a look at it, and just try running it in your local system and see how it works. Just go to the code, even if you might not understand the entire code. Just go through it so that you'll get a glimpses of what they tried, right? And the day you'll finish off writing, learning Solidity, Golang, or any of those Ethereum supportive languages, just again go through that code so you'll understand at least a bit of it. So that's the way I learned, and it really really helps. Then starting with Ethereum, right? You can pick any of your favorite chain. It need not to be Ethereum, but people really start with Ethereum as a base. So starting with Ethereum, you can start what EVMs are, how EVMs work. Then you can start with what Solidity is and how L2s work. And most of the L2s, they do support EVM based. They are EVM based, right? So they do support Solidity and other Web3 stack. So have a hands on them as well. Next is so you written smart contracts, right? If you have written smart contract, if you know what Solidity is, but still you want to interact with the other side of the part. So uh, of course you can integrate two smart contracts together, but if you want to get some other data from the blockchain, from somewhere else, so you so there's a thing called oracles, and Chainlink is one of the companies that does it. So you can easily integrate your smart contract with third party, and you can do that. So learn more about how to deploy a smart contract, where to deploy a smart contract. So there are test nets. So if you're just starting, if you're just learning, I think test nets would really really make sense. And once you want to deploy your smart contract to mainnet, just switch on to any of those mainnet and Polygon or Ethereum and see how your application or smart contract works. Next is security. So security is a pretty primary factor in the Web3 space, because there are a lot of hacks that happen. So you need to ensure that your smart contract is secure enough to be hosted on the mainnet. So there are a couple of links, couple of courses and articles that I've listed on the roadmap in the security section. Go through them. You'll get a brief idea. Next is building a dApp. So when you build a dApp, right? So there are multiple uh, things that you can use. One is web3.js. Then you have a full web3 stack uh, suite, sorry, it's called Truffle and Hardhat. So feel free to use any one of them. So I usually prefer Truffle, but if you're comfortable with Hardhat, feel free to use that. So I've also listed the courses and read materials, articles on the blog, on the roadmap that I've recently shared. So feel free to go through it. Next and final stuff is deploying your DApp and smart contract. So once you've learned the art of building it and developing it, the final stage is to deploy it somewhere, right? You want your applications to be hosted. So make sure you learn about how to deploy a smart contract, how transactions work, and everything around it. So it really helps. So go through it. There is a deployment section as well in the blockchain roadmap. Go through the blockchain roadmap deployment section as well. So deployment is very easy. One is you can directly use command line from Truffle or Hardhat, or else if you're not into that, so you can just code your smart contract on remix.ethereum.org and just deploy it from the UI itself. So two other ways, and there are multiple ways as well. Uh, Next and final is keep on building uh, and build for the public. So there are multiple open source projects that are running right now. Just go and contribute whatever you can. And yeah, you can. It really helps when you contribute to open source projects, because every project is scaling, right? Every project is building something really new. So, and if it's open source, people know what you're building, and your work is appreciated. So if you have some really good open source contributions to your name, it's really easy to get a job, not just in the Web3 space, but also in the Web2 space. So yeah, I mean, that's mostly it. Feel free to scan the QR code if you haven't, and I have also shared the roadmap link in the chat. Cool. So the last and the final slide for the day is winning an NFT. So it's very easy. All you have to do is sign up from the Covalent platform. So Covalent is a free API. We are a data analytics company. So I'll tell you what Covalent does. So Covalent is a data analytics company. We provide blockchain data. So we spoke about developing a DApp, right? So let's say if you want to build a DApp which lists down all the NFT, so you can easily use Covalent and list all your NFTs, transaction balances, anything that is related to blockchain data. You can easily do that using Covalent. So we have almost 50 plus blockchains that we have indexed, and we are still growing. We are still indexing some really good blockchains. So it's very easy to use Covalent. I'll just show you how it works, and you can win free NFTs. So once you sign up and just try it out, and once you sign up, we know who signed up. So we'll drop NFTs to each one of you whomsoever has signed up through this link in 48 hours. Okay. So this is how it looks when you sign up. So you can just go to API references, class A, or any of the endpoints that you want to hit. So let's say let's get some token balances for an address. So just go to custom request and select the chain that you want. So I've selected Ethereum mainnet. Just go down and you can type the address. You can even type in ENS. So I have a MetaMask wallet. I'll just copy the address. So this is my MetaMask wallet. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of I don't have any tokens with me right now. So this is how it shows, right? So I have some ETH with me, so very basic dust amount, which is equivalent to zero. So I have it in my account. So that's how it looks like, right? You can get all the data in a REST API. But if you're not a developer, so you can also get the data in an Excel sheet. And if you want to analyze it, play along with it, you can easily do that. So just go explore the platform, and we'll drop you an NFT very soon. Cool, awesome. So if you have any questions, if you not able to see, one sec, I'm sorry. I'll just present the screen again. Yeah, there you go. So I'll be here for some time on the screen for a couple of minutes. Feel free to scan it. Make sure you also fill the feedback form that EduHub community shares with you. So once you fill the feedback form and once you sign up, we'll get to know the number of people who have signed up, and we'll send you the NFTs on your wallets. So make sure that you have a ERC20 wallet address. That's necessary. So if you don't know how to sign up for a wallet, uh, I'll just drop you a link to that. Um, well, you have a pretty controversial question, Sriram. So, I mean, there are. I'll just put forward my perspective. One is, you know, it's a very new space. Second, a lot of people who jump into this space, either they are taking a risk, or they are little experienced. So it's both the sides, right? So that's, I think that's one of the reason why people get paid more here. And I think uh, the space is pretty volatile as well. And I'm not really sure on the developer side of the game, but from a non-technical perspective, I think it's very good relatively from a web 2 company. They pay well. And yeah, I mean, it's still little nascent. Let's see how the future holds. So I'm not sure what to comment on this, but yeah, it's an interesting question. So I think the answer to this is, if you talk about, you know if you ask me in a sentence, is wait and watch. Because right now the situation is, rare people get hired. Less number of people are getting hired because this technology is little complex, and I think that is why, a lot of people get paid so much. I hope I answered the question.
If you have any doubts, you can put in the chat box. I guess that's it for the questions. So, thank you so much, sir. That was a very detailed and informative session. I believe our audience really enjoyed, and they must have learned a lot through your guidance. So we would like to thank the audience today for their curiosity and their support for joining us. We hope you enjoyed your time with us and gained immense knowledge and expertise as well. We thank you once again. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in.
Thanks a lot,
Sir,
Drishti.
there's one
Yeah.
question.
Okay. So I know. Uh,
Oh, so there are actually a lot of questions.
okay. Perfect. Okay. I'll answer one by one. So
Sure, sir.
uh, Pratyaksh. Oh, I'm so sorry if I'm spelling it wrong, but um. Okay. So I feel it's first of all, the good step that you took is learning the concepts and the basics of JavaScript. Uh, I mean, that's the first very good step that you took. Specifically, not really, but you need to determine what kind of field you want to get into. So let's say, if you want to choose back end, front end, what is something that you want to select is something that you need to be certain about. So if you're going with front end, it's the same that how web to space works, right? So React, Next, Vue, whatever is fine with you, you can go ahead with it. If you don't like front end, you can still go with backend, because there are again computing things that are still required, right? You still need an API to function. You still need databases to be there, because you still want to store some bit of the data, right? And that's where the backend APIs also come into the place. And um, as I said, there is a suite truffle which is very very compatible with JavaScript and TypeScript. So learn that. That can also be beneficial for you. So I hope that helps. I heard people saying blockchain is too difficult. Is it so? Okay. Not really. Not really. It's not very difficult. People have just made it so because they couldn't really understand what blockchain is. Blockchain is not really complex. It's made complex. when people make it complex. So that's why, adding to Sriram's question again, why people get paid so much is because, you know since it is hyped a bit, so people feel they need to be paid more. So that's the thing. But anyways, it's not very difficult if you just go with the basics and stay determined. So what happens is people leave off their journey in between. So let's say if I've just started, I'll study for like 3 4 days, I'll learn things, I'll be very motivated, and I'll leave the pace. So that's something, you know that's something that you should not do. So make sure you have a perspective, you have a vision, you have a passion to do it, and then you go ahead and do it. It would work for you. Cool. Next is, what is plasma chain, why it is called off chain? So okay, so plasma chain is moreover like a blockchain that is linked up to Ethereum or any of those L1 chains. uh, but the transactions are actually off grid. They work on with its own mechanism. So let's say, if I if I'm building a blockchain, right? So if I'm building an L2, or maybe if I'm planning to build another roll up, so what I usually do is, I create a small copy of Ethereum and build a child chain, a small side chain. And what I do is, because if I just depend on Ethereum to execute my transactions, there would be congestion, right? The transaction speed would be low, and there would be a lot of gas fees inherited. And also my transaction performance would be affected. So if I want to take the transactions off Ethereum and work on with my own mechanism, let's say, there is a different validation mechanism that I want to use, I can easily do that using Plasma Chain. And Plasma Chains, they use fraud proof, for disputes management and stuff. But yeah, and Plasma I mean, if you ask about what Plasma is, so it's basically a framework that helps in improving the scalability. I hope I answered your question, Don. That is the reason why it's called off-chain. Yeah, there are multiple no-code tools that you can use. One is, I forgot the name. I'm so sorry. Wait a second. I'll just get you the no-code tools. There are multiple no-code tools that you can use. So even Covalent is one of them. So if you want to, let's say, build a wallet, you can easily do that in, let's say, Bubble or any of those applications, and link Covalent APIs and get the data. So one is Directoral. I'll just send you the link in the chat. Bunzi is one. Here you go, bunzi.dev. So I've just shared the link. The team will share with you. So I think that will help you. Cool. Next question. So Gamergenic. If I learn and follow the roadmap you gave us, after that, you what to do? Like how? Okay. So once you finish off, or once you follow the roadmap, so the roadmap that I've created, it's not 100% same that you should follow. At one point of time, if you feel there is a different path that you should follow, feel free to do that. But yeah, so essentially, once you complete the roadmap, you should start contributing to the open source projects that are available on the internet. Go to GitHub, find one, and start contributing. Post that. um, just go to Twitter and see which companies are hiring right now, and just apply to them and see what status is. If not, just DM me on Twitter or any of my social media platforms, and I'll just help you do that. So I'll also share my screen. So this is my Twitter profile. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions down the line, if you're not comfortable sharing on the public platform. um I also do 101s, which is like a free 101. I'll just get on a call with you, help you clear your doubts, help you navigate your path. And that's what I do. That's my way of giving back to the community, and I do it like every three calls every week. So feel free to DM me. I'll help you answer any questions you have. So again, thank you so much. I hope I answered your question. Next, in India, which companies are working? Okay, there are multiple companies here. So um, one of my friend recently started Cooper.hq, which is like a taxation company for, uh, in India. Polygon is founded by Indian folks. It was in India when it started, right? So there are multiple companies, but if you talk about a list, so let me get you that as well. So this is the one that I personally refer to track down all the Web3 companies in India. Feel free to go to them, and if you again, yes, this might also be helpful for you and other folks as well. So if you're finding opportunity, feel free to go to angel.co and see how it works. Cool. Any other questions, guys? If anything else, please feel free to put them on the chat. Cool. If not, we can close the session for the day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, EduHub, for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here, and keep up the good work. All the best to each one of everyone who has joined in today. If you still have any questions, my DMs are open on Twitter. Feel free to connect with me, even on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help you out. All the best. Happy hacking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the session, and thank you for the motivation and guidance to everybody. And I hope all of you really enjoyed the session. And thank you so much, sir, again.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.